Just to hear you talk again is a real treat for me.
Wow. Thank you. I haven't even said anything interesting.
We American girls like those accents. I don't know if you noticed that.
I have heard that once or twice.
You probably heard it a lot when you were in Shreveport. You were here a couple of weeks ago now. Awesome show. Not a lot of people, but the people who were there were really, really having a good time. And it's all because of you guys. I think you put on an amazing show.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we had an awesome time playing. You know, it was cool. We hadn't played in the area since we were there with Creed a couple of years ago. And, I mean, we loved coming to town again, so we really appreciated everyone who came out to see us.
So let's see, that was 2009, I think, the last time you were here. Was it any different this time?
It was, no, I mean, you know, it had the same feel last time. I do remember when we played in Bossier City thinking that I'd never heard of what a mud bug was. Maybe this time around we're a bit more educated in the South.
There you go. And you did just visit Louisiana again last week, right? Slash tour going on right now?
Yeah, we played New Orleans for the first time, and we played with Slash, which was absolutely a dream come true. So we've just done a couple of shows with him. You know, I mean, when you come from New Zealand, getting to play with Slash is pretty crazy.
So were you a big fan before this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, we grew up listening to Guns N' Roses and then Velvet Revolver, and, you know, then his own solo stuff was listened to a ton. So for us to be out on the road with him, and we got to chat with him quite a bit, and it's just, it's an amazing experience, I think, for a musician when you get to play with one of your idols.
Exactly. Did he give you any good advice about, you know, being on the road and stuff? Because, you know, I talked to him recently and asked him that very question.
That's a good question. You know, I didn't ask him about that. I was just sort of more stoked to just talk to him like kind of person to person.
Yeah.
But it was cool. He's such a nice guy, you know, and there's just something about, you know, when you meet someone that you've really looked up to and find out that they're just a great human being as well. It's a really cool thing.
It makes it that much more special, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. You know, I mean, he's very inspiring, not just as a musician, but just as a person.
So you've got how many more dates with him? I know you've got Dallas coming up May 24th. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a ton of stuff coming up, actually. It's a pretty exciting few months for us. We play with Slash again, and then we go out with our boys in Steel Panther, which is going to be awesome. That'll be the third time we've toured with them. So between Slash and Steel Panther, and also we're doing some shows with the guys in Hell Yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
So let's shift things just a bit here. I want to know about the digeridoo. Were you guys just sitting around the house one day, you know, three brothers sitting around at home and said, hey, why don't we take this thing and do some live shows with it? What do you think that would do? How did this happen?
You know, I'd like to say that we were that clever, that we would just sit around and come up with it. But actually, you know, Chris taught himself how to play it, and we just thought it was the most amazing sound we'd ever heard. And so kind of organically over the process of writing new songs and trying to find new ways to push the musical envelope, the didgeridoo just kept coming up as this amazing sound that we could work into our music in different ways. And it's been really cool because we'd never heard didgeridoo combined with like super heavy guitars and heavy drums. And to be honest, we didn't know if it would work or not. So I remember the first time we did it, In Love the Way You Hate Me, we have the didgeridoo in the breakdown, but then also when the song kicks in heavy again, we keep the didge going. And the first time I ever heard the playback of the drums and guitars and didgeridoo together, which is a combination that I'd never heard before, I was just completely blown away. And it feels like we've kind of stumbled onto something that's this really cool combination of sort of modern rock and, you know, one of the most ancient instruments in the world.
It's sort of a magical thing, and it's what makes you stand out among other bands. It's sort of your thing, you know?
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, you know, what we're getting known for. And it's cool because, you know, we've always grown up being really inspired by bands and artists who kind of push the envelope and were trying to find new places to take rock music, you know? And so one of the things that we love about writing music is finding things that you haven't done before, or in the case of the didgeridoo, you know, things that no one's done before. And so it's really rewarding when it sounds cool, and then it's awesome when that's what you get known for.
Here's a dumb question for you. Are New Zealanders really offended when people confuse them for Aussies? I always wondered that.
we're not offended, but no, I mean, there's a big joke about it over here. It's funny because there's this whole thing about, offending New Zealanders by calling them Australians, but the reality of it is our accents are so similar and the cultures are so similar that if I meet a New Zealander up here in America, I just automatically assume that they're Australian. So, we certainly don't hold that against anyone. The thing with New Zealand and Australia is that there's a huge sporting rivalry with rugby and cricket. So if you're in that part of the world, then the differences are quite noticeable. But when you're up here, we all come from the same area, and you actually have a great bond. So it's pretty cool.
Are there any cool phrases you can teach us that we don't already know?
Yeah, we have a ton of things that we say. One of the things we say a lot is good on you, like good on you, but it's kind of run together, great job.
Uh-huh.
So if someone does something that you like, you say, good on you, mate.
I've actually heard that before.
Yeah, we say that all the time. One of the weirder things we have is like what you guys call flip-flops, we call jandals, like sandal with a J, sandals. I don't know where it came from, but I don't know where flip-flops came from either.
I don't either. I think it's the sound they make when they hit your feet while you're walking. That's what it is.
Yeah, you guys, exactly. You guys are very switched on up here. One of the other things is what you guys call a bathing suit, we call togs. T-O-G-S, togs.
Togs.
And it's funny because I don't know where that came from either, but when we came up here, people were talking about like, I've got to get into my swimsuit. And we're like, what the hell is a swimsuit? you were in like a three-piece tux to the beach?
That's awesome. I always thought togs were shoes, some kind of shoes.
Well, I think those are clogs.
Okay, yeah, that's two.
But yeah, togs. So you can go to New Zealand, and when you go to the beach, you take your togs and your jandals.
One thing that we have here in the South, that you probably heard a few times, is y'all. We combined the words you and all and made it y'all.
I've noticed that. Yeah, it's kind of cool actually to see how people use it. And some people really go to town on it.
Mm-hmm. It's true. So are you guys actually living in the U.S. now, or are you still in New Zealand but touring around the U.S.? How's that working out?
We're kind of gypsies, actually, because we spend 10 or 11 months of the year touring, and we spend most of our time in America, but we've also started touring in Europe as well. And then when it gets to the winter in the Northern Hemisphere, that's when we go home to New Zealand and we spend a month or two there. So we actually get 2 summers a year, which is pretty awesome.
How are summers there?
They're really nice. They're really nice. It's not as hot as Australia, but the summers are beautiful, and it's just an amazing country. I didn't necessarily appreciate it when I was growing up there, but once you leave and come back, you really appreciate what a beautiful place it is, especially in the summertime.
Mm-hmm. Have you spent any summers in the South?
Yeah, we've done quite a lot of touring in the South during the summer. We actually really love the South. Both the people and then also the climate and the landscapes. It's always our dream that when we come back from New Zealand, when it's still cold in the north, that we do all of our touring in the South until it warms up.
That's a good idea. It gets pretty brutally hot here sometimes.
Yeah, I remember our first tour of America, which was the one with Creed in 2009, and we went that was in the middle of summer, and we went to like Florida and all these places. We basically toured the whole country, but I just remember being blown away by how hot it is. I guess often when people think of New Zealand, they think it's like Australia, but it's actually a lot more temperate. So it gets much hotter in the U.S. than it does in New Zealand.
So what is it like being on the road with your 2 brothers? Do you get along pretty well? Any sibling rivalry there, anything like that? Because if I was on tour, if I was on the road with my siblings, we'd be trying to kill each other pretty much every day.
Yeah, that's what you'd think. To be honest, we get on really well. We always have, and I think a big part of the reason is that we've all had this shared love of music. And what's kind of crazy about our band is that we actually grew up playing in 3 different bands. So we didn't grow up playing together, like a Hanson or a Partridge Family band or something. we all were in different bands, and we chose to play together because whenever we would jam, we always had this amazing musical chemistry between the 3 of us. So we get on really well because, we're getting to do what we love, and we kind of all chose to play together because we love playing music together. And probably the coolest thing about playing in a band with your family is that you get to share all these completely surreal experiences that are really hard to explain to people who weren't there. You get to share those firsthand with your family. It's honestly, it's a pretty amazing feeling.
And no matter where you go, you always have somebody there well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny because when you tour with anybody, you're spending 10 or 11 months a year together, it basically turns into like a brother-type relationship anyway. So if you start out as family, it really helps a lot.
Right. Now, I know you got a pretty young drummer. He's 19. How is Zach handling being out on the road with you guys? And where did you find him anyway?
Zach's awesome. Yeah, well, it's cool. Speaking of family, we've known Zach and his family for 6 years, and we've always been really close. And so for us to have him in the band, to be honest, is like playing in a band with another brother. So he's been doing an amazing job. He's an awesome drummer, and we've been family friends for years. So it's been a great fit, man. It really has.
And he's having a good time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's having an awesome time. I mean, it's been a pretty cool year for us, and obviously Zach has been there to be part of it. So, this year we've played with Hell Yeah, we've played with Slash, we've toured Europe, we're back here again, and then we go back to Europe and play Download Festival, and I mean, it's a really exciting time to be in the band. So I think for all four of us, it's a pretty amazing adventure.
So people want to check out where you're going to be next. They can find that on your website, Facebook page, all that stuff?
Yeah, you can go to likeastorm.com, which is our website. Also, we're on Facebook. We're the Like a Storm with the little blue tick beside it. On Twitter, we're at Real Like a Storm. And we're even on Instagram, LIS_official.
I haven't done the Instagram thing yet. I need to get on that, don't I?
Yeah, hey man, everyone's doing it. Actually, a lot of people are asking where you are, so I think you need to get on there.
There we go. Yeah, I'm sure everybody misses me.
They do. I mean, Twitter's where it's at. I figure, whenever we're watching like the basketball games or something, if Shaq's on Twitter, then I figure that's the place to be.
That's right. Definitely keep us informed about when you'll be heading back our way, because I'm excited to see you guys again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me as well.
Tell the guys I said hi.
I will.
Y'all.
Thanks, Jade.